All right, Jessica Sherr, welcome to my bathtub.
Thanks, Flo Ankah, for having me in your bathtub in your beautiful apartment.
I think it's officially spring, right? Yesterday I walked home and it's warm, and today the sun, I don't know, the windows open make really magic in the home, I think.
Yeah, no, it's comfortable, and so is the tub bath. I think it's good.
Figured out how to make it right so we don't freeze or cook.
And there's good lighting. I think the lighting's great. It's good lighting.
Yeah, a home with a lot of light is good for the soul, right?
Aw, yeah. Coffee with friends, you know?
Does it cost more money to have a home with a beautiful, in New York, with a lot of Eastern light? I don't know if this is Eastern.
I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it's cozy.
So you just moved to New Jersey, right?
I did.
How is it? It feels to me like I'm such a snob. I won't go into rehearsals in Brooklyn, but
Oh, really?
it seems like New Jersey,
Yeah.
it feels more different, so there's really a
Yeah.
break.
Well, I was a snob, and still I'm surprised that I've gotten over that, because I thought, living in the city was the ultimate way of being here, but I just realized that living in a room with one window and no light was bad, and I've been doing that for like 8 years, and so the idea of moving to another apartment in the same area was like, great, Upper West Side, and it was super expensive. So my fiance had mentioned this place called Weehawken, New Jersey, and I thought, well, okay, maybe. What sold me is that we have this view of New York City, and it's just like at night, it's just like lights of the city, and it's so quiet and peaceful, and I don't feel like I'm running around. Like I'm in the city 6 days a week, so that's happening, but like it's so beautiful to look in New York City from like afar, and it's fast. I got to your place like in less than an hour. I mean, it's even faster, like 45 minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes you said before. And yes, also we were mentioning that now that you're in New Jersey, you get home and you don't do work when you're at home. So how do you balance, like you come into town to do your business stuff and then go back home and cook?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like, why not? Well, now I have a kitchen, and when I lived at the West Side, I had like this little easy bake oven and like fake stuff. And now, actually, it was a joke when I first moved in. Doug, my fiance, was like, "Hey, I've never seen you cooking with so many like things at once," because I had the burner going and then the baking going, and so I guess what happened is, when I lived in one space, I did everything in one space. And now that it's an apartment, it has doors and windows, I feel as though there's more, I don't have to feel like I have to get everything done. So I've kind of given myself, or maybe it naturally happened, to just have office hours and then have a home. And when you come home, you make it home. So what do you do in your home? You cook, you relax, you look at the view. And when I come into the city, I have a place that I go to that I like in Midtown, and I get my work done. And then when I leave, and I let it go. And I don't get everything done anymore. There was a sense of like urgency when I lived in the city that I had to get things done because I was missing out.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm missing out anymore.
Is it adult life?
Maybe.
Is this like just 2.0?
Maybe I grew up. I don't know. Like it's very possible that making the choice to move made me choose to change my life. And I kept thinking moving out of the city was going to be a bad thing, and it's not. I mean, moving out of the city just means that you're embracing other ideas of yourself. And I identified myself as like, I live on the Upper West Side, but like in reality, I lived in a 5th floor walk up with like no light in like a nice place, but still it wasn't my place, and this one really is our home together, and our decorations, and and again, that view of just being able to breathe it in and slow down is huge. That's adult life, like just not thinking as though you're missing out.
Well, I'm still in babyland because it's hard to get me beyond like Union Square. But I'm invited for dinner, right? In New Jersey.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a wine fridge. Came with the apartment.
Wow.
I know. That was a sell.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you're getting married.
I know. Because of you.
Because of me?
Yeah, because of you. You're a huge part of this.
I'm turning red, like I'm embarrassed.
Well, I mean, you took you know, and a chance, because you didn't know me very well, but like, put me in your reading, and then during the reading,
let me tell
yeah, you tell.
Okay,
Okay, you tell.
all right.
Yeah, this is
first
your
of all,
yeah.
no. First of all, like none of my friends are in, you know, married. You're the first, you know, couple of my friends that I go to, like my wedding. My my sister is 22 and she got married in France, and it's the first time I attended a wedding in, you know. So you're the first one. I'm so happy. I will be part of you know, of your this beautiful day.
Yeah. The bridal party.
Yeah, and so basically, yeah, I was taking a playwriting class at the Magnet Theater, and I had written this little thing where the characters bubble, and then there's a musician or something. And so I don't know. I mean, Doug was really nice, and so I asked if he was available. I was like, are you available to rehearse this? It didn't work for that play, but then because I had contacted you and you know about the project, we were in another reading together.
Right.
And that's where you met Doug, but I had no idea. I had no idea. So you were not in the same play together, but
I don't even remember.
Yeah. So basically, I asked you to be playing Bubble, but you couldn't. So then my friend Melanie did it.
Gotcha.
But I still managed to get you there to play a scene with me.
Right.
And Doug played the third character in the little reading of mine. And I had no idea you guys went out together. So it was, I think, after a couple of months that you were smooching.
Our first kiss was on your street, on Mulberry Street. Like, that was our first kiss.
Nice.
Little did you know.
Yeah. It's I don't know, Mulberry's a romantic area.
Very. It's what reminded me of what New York used to be, and not to say that New York's changed, but it has. Like, this still feels like New York.
Yeah.
Where it's still these businesses that are mostly run by families, and there's a lot of tradition. Even you get on the street, you can just feel the tradition.
Yeah.
And it does feel like romantic New York.
Yes.
Hence why we probably went, you know, to have like dinner here when we first met, just because it felt like New York. And we're both very New York, even though we're not from New York. But,
yes. Well, New York is a state of mind. Like, these people who are very young and very wise at the same time.
Yeah.
So when these two things exist, I think, okay, maybe we have a New Yorker here.
Yeah. Someone who's savvy.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, I mean, how is it to work here, like be a creative person, and I don't know, do you want to talk about your show?
Probably.
You have a fantastic show.
Thank you. Well, I didn't plan on having a show. Like, I had learned that I looked a little bit like this actress, Bette Davis. And I was like, okay, Bette Davis. You know, I'd heard of her, but I didn't realize how similar we were. And this was back in 2008.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, I just researched about this woman. Because in my mind, I thought, as a film actress, I should learn how to create a character that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
If I had known that Bette Davis was so famous, I don't think I would have touched her. I don't think I realized in my young, naive way.
Sure. It's nice to do something
huge.
genuine and...
Yeah, and I was glad that I found this love of her when I was kind of like a young actress, just because I thought I was invincible. I could take over the world. And so when I started doing this research, it turned into these little vignettes. These little, you saw it. I mean, like, this little 28-minute show that was maybe a product of me researching this character. And then the show was then called The Redheads. It was part of 3 other Redheads.
Yes, that's what I saw.
You saw that, yeah. And it was this little thing. And then after that, and it's interesting because I met Doug during that time. And after you had introduced us, he had emailed me back and forth, like an actor, like, hey, have you heard about this project? And then I finally said, look, you going to come to my play or not? And he's like, you know, okay. And he wrote back, I'll come to your play and take you to dinner too. I guess you win both ways. Or something like that. And I was like, oh, he's flirting with me. I didn't know. Like, for like 2 months we gone back and forth, and I didn't know he was flirting with me. I was so like, someone likes me. So he was at the beginning of this Bette Davis journey. And so the show then turned into 28 minutes. And then the 3 months, could not sleep because I finished my little run. And I just knew I had something, but it wasn't ready yet. So I took my 28 minutes and I put it into the New York Fringe Festival. Okay. And they were like, yeah.
I saw that too.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, that wasn't one of, it wasn't quite ready to be seen by the world.
I mean...
It was fine.
It's not the point. The point is, like, sometimes I think, because I work as a singer, and in the beginning, I would share some of my insecurities, or we don't have to share the potential we see in the work.
Yeah.
Because if I'm the audience and I enjoy what I'm seeing, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
You see, like this is, and I realized that as the performer, I have no right to ruin someone's enjoyment of my half-done work, or you know, I think so. I think because we're not, it's for the audience, and if the audience they like it, we shouldn't give them doubts about the beautiful, you know, because you know it's just about how much more we think we can do, and that's our secret. Yeah. It cannot be shared to an audience and say it wasn't as good as what I can be. That's my problem. That's your problem. But we don't need to know that it could be better.
Well, I'll tell you this though. So New York Fringe Festival, I got reviewed. Yes. And I got really bad reviews. Okay. And what happened was, instead of going negative, I was like, I'm going to make my show as good as possible after.
Oh, wonderful.
So it was really positive because I knew I wasn't ready to be seen by like the world because Bette Davis was such a name, but I knew that I had something. So after New York Fringe, which was a good experience, I for another year just worked on my script and like self-produced it and spent time just getting my script ready for audiences to see, and I would do it off Broadway or whatever I could do.
This is giving me chills.
Oh, how do you get chills?
Because you know what, it's a thing. I mean, you know, you're a great producer of your work, and I mean, you're really putting yourself on the map because you're business savvy. But it's really, for me, it's like it's hard because sometimes we have to compromise between. Like, if you're too good at business, then the work itself, the writing and the performance and the rehearsal suffers. Right. And, you know, it's wonderful, in a way, you got maybe this, I didn't realize you had anything that was a bad review, but then if it puts you in a position where you're going to, you know, push yourself to do your best work, and now that's so much how you come across for me. And I'm like, you know, there's not a lot of people who we know as performers that have this angst to do their best work.
Right.
Yeah. But what you don't know is that you don't know that, you know, you were doing your Bette Davis thing, and I was looking at it and I was like, this is so smart. And I think maybe we had a conversation at some point, but because of how successful you were with your show, then I was like, oh, I should do the same thing. And that's why I started the show about Edith Piaf. I mean, there were different angles. Yeah. You know, I mean, there was also a manager who suggested that I should do specifically. No, it was not maybe the Edith Piaf, but it was the idea of doing a solo show with me in it. I mean, there's, you know, Jerry Rudis hinted I should you know, sing and do a solo show, and then another manager, George Martignac, he was like, well, you should really focus on Edith Piaf because she's an easy sell. Right. Which I don't know what it is, you know, I mean, the last time I did the show at Joe's Pub was in 2013, and, you know, now I see...
Is it that long ago?
It is, yeah. Wow. It is, and so it's like there's so much now I realize where it can grow, so I don't think this show has been in a mature place in any way, but it was definitely by seeing how successful and how independent you were being that I decided, oh, I should do a solo show. I did, you know, with other intuitions, you know, other things came together, but for me it was really, because, you know, people say, oh, I'm going to audition, and it's like, hi, I'm an actress, and it's like, oh yeah? Yeah. And it's really hard to be from the person who has training and who's well-intentioned and who really has a calling to the person who's working that people know about. And I don't know, I mean, for me, being a French actress and singer in New York, you get cast type. I mean, do you have what's your niche?
Well, it's kind of unique because most of the industry has not seen my Bette Davis show, and I find that a little frustrating because I don't think they realize I'm much more than a quirky redhead. Yes. And I get called in for quirky redhead all the time, and that's for like surface. TV, maybe. You know, that's the surface of me, but like I'm much deeper, and I'm much at my core. I have so many layers, and I wrote the show originally when I was like, I'm going to write a show to give myself an opportunity for my other layers to be seen.
Of course, to do great work,
Yeah, to do great work and to cast myself and to write. I was lucky I'm a good writer to write myself a show with a lot of research so that I had a vehicle to show that I could do something that wasn't just quirky redhead. Yeah. And if I was stuck doing only the work I've been given by like the industry standards, I think I'd be a really unhappy actress, you know, because it's just not enough. Yes. Like the show has given me, it's filled in all the gaps because there's always something to do. Like there's always, you know, the creativity and the producing are totally separate, and that's the biggest balance is to be able to do both. But what I found, and it's a very inspiring moment, is that I based my show off of real history. Yes. So like I'm working on these characters that were real, and the story I created is historically based. So learning about an actress in the 1930s and her struggles being a woman and having, you know, being outspoken and dealing with Warner Brothers and Universal Pictures and all these things that she dealt with, I'm like, it's not much different from what I do, you know. And I found empowerment when I realized how similar she and I were, and that really made me not want to give up because she didn't give up. So why would I, Jessica, give up? Even though I don't think I'm nearly as strong as she is, but she's become a mentor. And, you know, in the producing of it, like, you write a show, you perform a show, you know, you get audience, and then you say, oh, what's next? You know, what's next? And that was the way that I grew the show, because I kept saying to myself, okay, now the script's better, what's next? Okay, this performance space, okay, what's next? And then, you know, I realized that I needed to take the show away from New York to really see if it was good. And my only opportunity was to go to the biggest festival in the world, which is Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Yeah. Edinburgh is like crazy. It is nuts. And in that craziness, I learned that my show wasn't just good for my friends, like people that I didn't know actually liked it. Yeah. And that was weird. Like people liked it that I didn't know, and having people come to me on the street because you see everybody.
Yeah, chills again. Yeah. I don't, you know, but I think you're just doing so great. I'm so proud of you, you know.
Thank you.
No, but I'm just like, man, it's like, how did you think, oh, I'm gonna go to this Edinburgh Festival and you know, and pull together the programs and stuff, and
yeah, that's kind of like my crazy secret. I don't know. I just know how to go to the next place.
To the next place,
and I don't think I know how to level out. Like sometimes I think it's almost like a burden because I won't give up. Like I just keep going. But it's almost like I feel like the world kind of presents these opportunities, and it's my choice to take or to leave. And you know, it was a choice. Do I go to Edinburgh or not? And do I go?
Were you like that when you were a teen?
Yeah, I was, but I wasn't confident in myself. Like I didn't know that I by myself was good enough as a teen. But I also, if I got on something, I would continue. Like if I took a dance class, I'd take it forever. Like I just continued.
Oh, you're persistent, relentless.
Very persistent, and didn't really, like I knew like maybe I had some talent, but I don't think I knew that I could do it. I definitely never thought I'd be playing leading ladies. No way. Like back then I was like the background, you know, like I could dance around and I could get like a dance solo, but never speaking anything.
So when did you start acquiring confidence?
I think when I guess what must have happened, it would have been, see, it's not really in college, because college, I went to a school called UC Santa Barbara in California, and...
Oh my god, yeah, you're from LA.
No,
or
San Diego.
San Diego. From the sun.
I'm from the sun.
Why did you come to New York?
Well, because I had to get away from, like, where I grew up. Like, I had to go out. That's probably where I got my confidence.
How old were you when you got here?
22.
22.
After
17?
Oh, God. Oh, I don't know if they would have let me come at 17. Really? 17?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
It's so funny, you know, because it's a similar thing where people say, oh, it was so brave.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it's really, you just go to the next thing. And I don't know, I finished, you know, high school early, and I was already in a dance program. So I didn't want to study dance in France, you know, because people who study dance was like people who don't have intellectual abilities. So I thought, I'm doing dance, but at least there's a foreign language I will learn, and I'll be in New York. But I didn't think of it as a great thing. I just like, that's what I'm doing. And it was so funny. Like if I would start over again, I would be like, way too hard. No, not doing that. This, you know, now I'm so mellow. But I don't know, like, you know, definitely. I was in school full time. I was full time to pay for the school, and then I was coaching on the side in opera and, you know, acting too. It's like crazy. I don't know. So when you got here, like, what? I don't know what.
I had like an obsession with New York. Like I used to, I remember my senior year of college only wearing I Love New York t-shirts and thinking that was extremely cool. Like cut the sleeves off and make them short because it's California. And like I have a picture of when I got off the plane here, and I had like a suitcase and my skateboard. Like, who brings a skateboard on your plane to New York? But that's what I knew. And I had this like I Love New York t-shirt and like these crazy jeans. I was like a rock star. And then I went and I moved to Spanish Harlem, which was not rock star. I had no idea. It was so, like, looking back, I would never repeat that first year, but it was so exciting to come to a place that just had like opportunities. Everywhere I looked, there was an opportunity, and there were like new people to learn from.
Yes.
And I guess what happened is I told my parents, I remember this, we were sitting on the beach in California, and we did not live near the beach. Like, I live like 25 miles away, so you have to drive, and it's a thing. But we were sitting on the beach, and my mom had gone and got like my favorite nuts and dates and things I liked. And she said, you know, Jess, if you really want to make this dream happen, you gotta go get your footage. She's like, you gotta go get your footage so you can edit your life. You can stop, pause, fast forward, and rewind, but right now you don't have any footage. So I think in that way, she was encouraging me to go out. I don't think she thought I'd stay so long. I mean, I've been here 11 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And I do miss the California, like, serenity and spirituality. I have a hard time finding it here. I feel like I have to really work on finding spirituality because it's so fast paced.
It's funny, I don't think of you as a spiritual person. It doesn't come out, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not in a, I mean, okay, but then I never made the connection of you going surfing in Far Rockaway because you came from San Diego. Somehow it's just like, Jess is so out there, and she's just like, wow. So that's why, yeah.
I mean, I think that my California sensibilities are like spiritually based. Like,
so what is like, what is it to be spiritual? I mean, in California or in New York, like, how does it express itself for you?
It's like taking time in the moments, like enjoying the moments of your life, and like the exact opposite of being in New York, like enjoying things around you and sunshine and the ocean. The ocean for me is an absolute bath of serenity. Like, it's the only time, I think it was 2 weeks ago that I went out to Rockaway, and like it was 20 degrees. It was crazy cold, but I was so needing it. I had to. Like, I finished work, I went out, I took Doug with me, and I was like, I'm going surfing. And I have a full wetsuit with booties, gloves.
I saw the photo on the Facebook.
Right?
There's only 2 people in the ocean.
Oh, it's me and this one guy. We're both like, but it had to happen because I felt so good after. And that is just a product of something I was given, you know, to enjoy as a kid or a teenager, whatever it was. Like, in California, it's there to take. It's not hard to go to the ocean. It's like there.
Yeah.
So, you know, you take advantage of like this beautiful moment. And surfing for me are little moments. I think of nothing else. It's the only time that my brain totally shuts off and is just there.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Lovely, yeah. What I'm finding challenging in the city is having because the practice, you know, like when we work on our stuff, you know, the space, it sort of influences your level of availability, and so
it's hard
practicing music, because, you know, people say that like music can be meditative or anything whenever you're lost. I think his name is Mark Nepo. And he's like he calls himself a poet, but his ideas are so beautiful. I really resonate with his sensibility, and he's so peaceful. I think he got cancer and then got over it, and he's just such a prolific author. But he's defining, you know, like the idea of losing yourself in your practice. And to me that's so important because it's so hard in New York to allow for this time to really abstract from other things and do pure, and the attention be purely dedicated to one little thing at a time.
No, one thing at a time is really difficult. I actually think one of the best things, and I recommend this to anyone, and every time I do, people are like, the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Right? I bought it and I lent it to someone, and now I don't have it anymore.
Get it back. No, that's the book. That's the book. That's beyond the writing too. It's just these, for someone who doesn't necessarily like know what to do for spirituality, that book like takes you by the hand, and you just these exercises just open your heart. And that's actually what connected me, because I was doing that book while I was writing the Bette Davis show. And like I remember that that book just connected the dots to everything and allowed me to really, really appreciate this crazy world that we live in.
Yeah.
And in the craziness, there was a real serenity. And you know, it's funny because not that I hide my like spirituality, but there's not a lot of opportunity to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna zen on the subway. You can't, because there's too many like things happening,
Distractions,
you know?
yeah.
But like, I think if if people come with me to Rockaway and they see like there's a different side to me. Like me in California, it takes me 3 days to like chill out.
Yeah.
But like I'm a different person just because I have this love of like feeling really good from the heart. Sometimes I think, you in New York, it's hard sometimes to love from your heart. People are, they're not like, I don't know. There's you have to put up sometimes a little bit of a wall, which I don't like to do. But I remember coming here and telling my mom, no one smiles at me. And that being like a really weird thing. That no one, unless they're crazy, smiles. I mean, they do.
You know, in Europe, when you first come to New York, you're like, oh my God, people are so superficial. They meet you and they're like, oh, how was your vacation? You look great. When they obviously cannot think that. And so...
You look so rested.
No. And then I was like, okay, so going to Los Angeles, I went twice for work, one time for a musical and one time to record this, language program. And I was like, it's gonna be worse? People are even more superficial. Yeah. And the truth is, it's not. It's like people relate in a different way. Well, there's a different kind of, there's a lot of like, one time I went and I'm like, I have a meeting with a friend and there's other friends there and I'm like, it's like this.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, oh my God, people's faces. I want to be like, when I'm old, I want to be the only like New York actress with wrinkles everywhere. To be
I would be like Helen Mirren.
No, I'm Judy Dench.
Okay, Judy. That would work. You could be Judy. I could be Helen. That would work.
That's cool. That's the show.
That's the show. That's the goal. That's the goal. Yeah.
No, not the goal. We're gonna make a show about us being them.
Fine.
Right? Younger or something.
They're awesome women.
The women who will have wrinkles because that's how authentic they are.
Yeah, why not? I think that comes from when you really, if you really love yourself inside, as you grow older, that's who you are.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful to see the lines of life. It's sad when you see somebody you don't see the lines of life. Or the happiness in their eyes. And, a lot of it's from passion. Like, having a passionate thing in your life, you just feel alive.
Yeah.
Without having a show to work on or, like, a dance class or something, I don't feel the passion of life. And I feel bad for people who have, like, office jobs. That would be boring.
It's a different kind of space within your time, I think. There's, structure. I've never tried it, so I don't know, but I can sense that the people who do art and have a steady thing in their life, they have a different kind of availability.
Yeah.
But anyway, recently, because in the same way, I'm really good when I have goals. I become a machine.
Work.
Yeah, but now I'm trying something different. I put myself sort of on the map as a singer because of the same thing as you, because of my producing skills, I think, and my marketing. Sort of abilities. So as an actress, I don't want to be the producer of my feature film. I don't want to do that. So then I'm like, so what do I have to? I still have to do something to allow for a change.
Right.
And I realized that a lot of decisions that came from the mind, because the mind is very sharp and So now I'm trying to be different, and I'm trying to like take it down a notch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like
That's good.
but it's so weird because I think the heart has a brain, right? It thinks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so like now whenever I'm faced with something, I'm trying to just take it down and like to think from my heart. It's sort of like the gut thing, but to really like filter through there, because then it's not about what makes sense. And so I'm hoping that it'll be a different way to make magic happen.
Yep.
Because we know what it is when it's like boom, boom, boom. That's the next thing. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
It can be prévisible. How is the word? It's expectable. The result, the outcome. Right. Whereas when you go with like, oh, there's something that resonates. Like, even if it makes no sense, I still want to try it because I trust. I trust like I'm going somewhere different. So I don't know how to do it quite yet because I feel like a little bit clumsy about it.
Well, it's probably more vulnerable. And when you're working from your heart, I've always found that you're really putting yourself out there.
I'm just trying to make decisions from a different place because
Yeah.
I have like leadership skills, and I'm very decisive. You know, it's like I come across as very strong all the time, and I'm trying to get a different way of responding with the world, to make the business decisions from here. You know, because then who can say it would have been, you know, you can see, again, if there's any proposition, you're still gonna go,
yeah.
and you know, we know.
Yeah.
But that's not the life I'm interested in. I'm
Right.
not interested in knowing already ahead of time this.
Right.
I'm interested in like, oh my god, this is, you know, being in Far Rockaway and being in the water, like, oh my god, this is crazy. And that's the ride I want. I want life to be so embracing and, you know, and unexpected.
Yeah, I was going to use that word. I would say it's very unexpected.
Yeah.
And it's nature. Like, sometimes you need to be in nature because it's just absolutely real, and it brings you down to your grounded self.
Yeah.
And when you're in that grounded self, you're in the moment, and you know you can't expect anything because there's no cell phone in nature. Like, nature doesn't call you up and be like, "Hey, call me back." Like, nature just is. It just is, isn't it? You know, and I think that was a big lesson with New York too. Is it's a concrete jungle. You have to get out. You know, you have to allow as a creative person. You have to go out into the wilderness, so to speak, so you can feel yourself again, because it gets very, like, you know...
Central Park?
That's a good start.
Yeah.
Central Park is definitely, I'm so glad we have that. If not, that'd be really difficult. But, just to sit in, like, calm and stillness, which is something I'm working on, which is tough.
So how can we make New York more conducive to creativity and collaboration?
An artist commune.
Yeah.
You know, we're a bunch of artists living together, and... Well, that's too hippy-dippy, but like a place where people...
Well, they are art collaboratives.
Yeah, something like that. I think that sometimes, or at least what I miss a lot of the times being a solo performer, you have your own Bette Davis ain't for sissies, the show, but like, there's still Jessica who wants to connect with people.
Yeah.
And like how touched I was to sit here in your tub bath and connect, you know, because that's something that is really important in this big city. You get lost, and having real emotions and connections with people probably is what will sustain a career forever. Instead of it being these little like flecks or moments of glitter, you know, because when you get off the set, like, you go home, and if you don't have friends or like relationships, it doesn't work, you know.
It also sparks new collaborations. You know, like after shows you talk about things, but you know, they used to be, I mean, they still are theater companies, but they used to be theater companies that would be really involved, you know, together. And so, but you know, maybe that's cool. Maybe we define what is 2015 and beyond the artist's
journey.
The artist's journey. And it's really important to have a place of trust and that is nurturing. I mean, for me, I started, I think, to make strides when I realized, okay, this is a mentorship. Like, this person is really keeping me on track, and there's something really difficult that happened with me with this one director, and my opera teacher is like telling me what's what and empowering me. And so I mean, thank you for doing your Bette Davis thing, because it inspired me to start doing solo stuff, and I cannot tell you how different I am now, you know. So it's like, it's little things, but by being together, we're definitely can change things.
I think so. It's all about togetherness. Togetherness it is.
Well, solo is, you know,
it's
we
different.
could just go write a novel in the forest, but
you could. Emerson did that, and he did all right. But I think he's lonely.
I don't know if our life purpose is to take what's like divine and bring it to an audience so that they can feel better and live better.
Part of it is. I think part of being, I mean, I think that if you go to a show and you feel like you've transformed during the show, and part of my hope when I had the Bette Davis show, I said, I want people to Google her name. It's like a total Google her name. And people do. They'll email me like, oh my gosh, I Googled her, and now I know more about her, and I saw her movie. I love when that happens.
Yes.
And that, if they hadn't sat in that show, they wouldn't have had that experience. So someone is you know, feeling alive inside because they have something to kind of look at. And that's what art should be. I mean, whenever I go to a show and I'm like, that's a good show because I did something after, you know, I talked about it.
What a wonderful way to honor someone's life and work. Yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
She's probably very glad you're here.
I think she finally has realized that I am going to do her justice. And something very special happened last year, and this is something that couldn't have happened as just Jessica. I reached out to the Bette Davis estate and to make sure I could use her name and stuff, and they had called me, and the assistant, Catherine Cermak, said, I want to help you. I really love what you're doing. So I went to LA and I met with her. And this woman had lived with Miss Davis for 10 years, like the last 10 years of my life. And during this meeting, this amazing meeting, I'm thinking, oh my God, all the things I went, the bad reviews, all the things I went through.
Yes.
And here I am sitting with the assistant.
Crazy. It builds.
And then she gave me a little box, a little gift. And inside was 2 pairs of gloves, scarf, handkerchief, earrings of Miss Bette Davis.
Oh.
So I wear a pair of her gloves in my show, and there's a little bit of makeup on them. So when I put them on, I see the makeup, and then her fingers were longer.
That's
so it's like
so
I'm growing into
sweet.
Bette Davis. Yeah. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have like the courage to, write a show about somebody, and the courage to reach out to the estate. I was terrified, but they accepted that I was doing what I was doing, and encouraged. It's all about the support and the balance of your life. You can't just be an actress without having friends. You can't be an actress without having like relationships, and having a supportive partner in it.
Yes.
Makes you a balanced person.
All right, cool. I'm going to Google Bette Davis.
Good.
And I'm going to go to your wedding and have the best time.
Yes, yay! The best time. Yes.
Okay,
Good.
cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel we have so much, like, we could go on for hours because, we have sort of the same way of, like, looking at things, and it feeds off a lot, but we should just meet more often.
We'll just meet more often.
Yeah.
We'll have more life with Flo. Make me more omelets.
Beautiful. Egg white, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.